Hello, this is Michael Magee. I hope everyone had a great weekend. This is my presentation on using Kickstarter to finance your projects. Um, the social media category that Kickstarter belongs to is called crowdfunding. And a simple way to think about crowdfunding or to define it is say, for example, you have a research project in mind. You want to travel to Europe to study their library system, for example. You can use Kickstarter or a comparable site like Indiegogo and a few others. You create a page describing your project and you send it out to your friends through email, Twitter, Facebook, and other social media outlets to try to obtain sponsors or backers for your project. So that's typically and how crowdfunding works. As this picture depicts, your circle of friends and you're in the middle and you're sort of where you want money from them. Like this illustration shows, you have your network, you're in the center, and you hope they're sending $100 bills your way. Um, Goals should be itemized to maximize contribution. So say for example your budget to travel to Europe would include air travel, plane ticket, hotel, etc. You want to include that in your budget as well as any expenses to publish a book or whatever your final project will be. Using most of the crowdfunding websites, there is a commission that's paid to the service, taxes to the federal government, and depending on how you will receive the funds, if they use PayPal or Amazon, then you would have to pay a fee to those companies as well. Major websites, Causes is one that is more of a social movement or for charity. Indiegogo and Kickstarter are similar, but they do not support causes or charities. It's only for individual projects. Just to give some background information, Kickstarter was founded in 2009 by Perry Chan, Yancey Strickler, and Charles Adler. The website has grown tremendously since its inception. Time called it the best invention of 2010, and it has been on their list of best websites for 2011. It was established with $10 million they raised from venture capitalists. As of today, there's been 73,915 projects, and there's a success rate of about 43.82%. Success meaning that someone sets a goal, say you needed $5,000 for your trip to Europe to study the library system there and to publish a book, and you raised $6,000 and you requested $5,000, then you would be considered a success. If you say raise $3,500 of the $5,000, depending on how your budget was itemized, you may be able to keep the funding. Even though you would be short of your goal, you could still keep the funding and use it for your project. The project must fit into one of 13 categories, and as I mentioned before, no charity or causes funding where you're advocating for social movements. No funding your life. Say for example you wanted to start a business, the funding would not be available for that. You would need to actually have an end project, such as if you're a musician, you would want to create an album, go on tour, publish a book, or create a piece of art. These are the 13 categories that Kickstarter supports projects in: art, comics, dance, design, fashion, film and video, food, games, music, and at the bottom I highlighted photography, publishing, and technology because those are the three areas that I'm most interested in. And the icons on the screen are some of the screenshots from the projects that are currently ongoing with Kickstarter. Some more statistics for them. They've generated $384 million of the 30,973 successful projects. Typically, it's an agreement between the backer, who is someone who sponsors or funds you, and the project creator. Once you've met your goal and you're given the funds, Kickstarter receives a 5% commission, and Kickstarter uses Amazon, so they receives 3 to 5% of the funds. If the project doesn't go through, say for example you end up not going to Europe, you can't fulfill your project, then there's no legal recourse for Kickstarter or the people who've sponsored you to receive their money back. It would be up to the individual um, who I guess sponsors the project to give the money back willingly, but there's no legal action if you say set up a project, get funded, and then never follow through with it. And I'll talk about that a little more in the end because there is some controversy going on. Publishing projects where someone wants to publish a book have been funded 2,423 times out of a little over 8,000, so about 1 out of 3 publishing projects, which could be a book or a magazine, gets funding. Here are some ideas of Kickstarters that were in Tampa based and they were funded. As you can see, they're very different, and if you look at the bottom, this gives you basically the statistics of the funding process. They were funded 138%. They received $6,930. This one, they were funded 100% and they wanted $2,000 and they received it, so that's why they're at 100%. The first one received more than their asking price, so they may have wanted $5,500 or $6,000. Now this stock photo set, 1,252% funding, meaning they only requested maybe $250 and they ended up with, actually it says it here, $250 funds a large set of dynamic cyberpunk themed stock photos. So this could be something as a photographer I would be interested in creating, and if I could generate that much funding, definitely can go a lot further with the project if you receive this large of a percentage more than you asked for. Alright, what I wanted to focus on was using this service to publish a book or do research. This gentleman, Dan Spalding, he wanted to publish a book on how to teach adults. He's I guess an adult educator in the San Francisco area, mainly with ESL, teaching English to second generation and current immigrants who come to California. He wanted to create and publish a professional looking ebook, and he wants to publish it for free. So he listed that he wanted $6,000, and in a moment I'll go over the breakdown of his budget, and he had 266 backers for his project. And as you can see on this side, which is on the right side of the pages, for $5 or more you get recognition in the ebook. For $10 or more you get recognition in the ebook and a handwritten thank you note. So basically, as you elevate the pledge amount for your backers, the more incentives you provide for them. And if you were to click on this link, you'll see a short video of Dan giving a presentation as to why someone should fund his project. Some other projects that are going on in the area, on the right side I've highlighted all of the projects going on in Florida. Orlando is the leader with 191 projects. St. Petersburg has 27 projects, Sarasota 21, Lakeland 15. So I imagine as word spreads about this site, more in the creative and educational community will start taking advantage of it. And these are recently funded book projects. The Writer's Workshop struck me because someone received $14,251 to publish a book, essays from science fiction. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Moving ahead, Kickstarter is going to launch Kickstarter UK on Halloween, October 31st. A lot of artists and entrepreneurs in England haven't been able to create projects. They've only been able to sponsor projects that are American based. As I mentioned before, legal issues refers to accountability. A gaming system, which I'll post a link for it in the Blackboard page, raised $8.6 million, and there's been a lot of news articles speculating whether or not the gaming system would actually come into fruition, and they were wondering what would happen to that money that was raised by the company. Like I mentioned before, refunds are strictly up to the project creator, and Kickstarter is not liable or eligible to be sued if you back someone and they never follow through with the project. Regarding successful projects, once you've gone to Europe, you've written your book about the library system there, and you publish it, that is when you need to contact your backers and provide them with whatever you've agreed to, whether it's a signed copy of the book, recognition on their website, and things like that. And like I mentioned before, I'm going to play a quick video of Dan's project so you can get an idea of what the process is to create a project and hopefully obtain funding for it.
Hi, my name is Dan Spalding. And when I first started teaching adults, I didn't think it could be all that difficult. And then, one day during class, during break, all of my students went home. And 1 hour alone in a classroom by yourself is a long time to think about how you don't know everything about teaching adults just yet. I love teaching. In the 10 years since then, I've been teaching in adult schools and community college around the San Francisco Bay Area, and I've led workshops for activists across the country. And something I've learned is that most adult educators never get trained. And having gotten my master's degree in teaching, I can tell you that even the training we do get often isn't very practical. What I wanted to do is write a book that gave you everything you need to know from day one when you start teaching. And after 2 years of writing, I finished the book. It's called How to Teach Adults. And this book covers everything from getting your first teaching job to planning your class to developing your teacher persona to organizing your own professional development. It's a good resource for novice and veteran teachers alike. This Kickstarter will help me cover professional editing and layout design because I want it to be a beautiful and useful reference for teachers everywhere to download for free. Thank you for watching and helping making this project possible.
And that'll conclude my brief overview of Kickstarter. I look forward to engaging with you on the Blackboard during this week. Welcome all questions and comments, and I'll actually post a few other links to some pretty creative projects I've found that you may want to look at. A few where people were funded to do study abroad and try to publish a book based on that, and other projects that may be related, or you may have some creative interests outside of higher education that you may want to pursue, try to receive startup money to get something accomplished. Again, good luck with comps this week, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.